Thanks for watching Peoples and Dragons. If you're enjoying the show, leave a like and maybe subscribe. If you care to support the channel, perhaps consider becoming a patron. In addition to being a proud patron, you can gain optional access to my Peoples and Dragons role-playing Discord, where you can roleplay as your own stranger to pass time between events and sessions, and even join me in exploring the meta black, as I am seen doing with my buddy Kabul. I'm also available for solo role-playing coaching and consultation if you need advice on how you can improve your solo role-playing endeavors. Link to my Patreon in the description. Enjoy the show. I was no longer alone, and surely another one of us could pop up any day. It was time to start considering the resources we would need to survive under the partial rooftop of the tower we claimed. I take another revitalizing bite of the surprisingly dry fruit I found on the corpse back there, and stow it away for later. With my knowledge of desert survival and Kabul's expertise of mining and demolitions, we were able to scout and secure an area of interest in just under a few hours south of the tower. A gaping hole in the sandy ocean warp, framed by a formation of peduncle roots jutting from within like a clawed hand beckoning us to enter. And that we did. So granted, you have some mining knowledge. That's definitely going to help us with the things we encounter. We are camped in front of this mine. We don't know what's down here. When you were setting things up and prepping the entrance, does any of that involve making the entry into this place easier, or are we just full out just diving down here? Or do we have ropes or something?
Is this a vertical shaft that we're looking at?
Is this a vertical shaft? Let's do yeah. Let's get a description of what this entrance looks like. Hopelessly reassuring. Or reassuringly hopeless.
I'm gonna interpret this as it starts off as a passable slope, but it gets very steep very quickly. Okay. So we are gonna need to tie off to something up at the top.
Okay. So we get ourselves all tied up, as old school as possible. I don't want people to think that there's machinery involved here, but we do go as far as tinkery as tinkering can get. And Kabul here, he's more of a tinkerer in terms, maybe a little bit of alchemy when it comes to the bombs and stuff. But we're talking like old school.
Yeah, mostly knots.
Yeah, so you fashion all that together. As we get lower down there, do I see any visual? Do I see any landing in sight? Anything that we could potentially land into? As we, I say maybe we get lowered in a little bit. Do I see anything that already 50-50? Yeah. And what exactly do I see? Communicate/failure.
Tricky ledge.
I spot and point out a nearby ledge that we could potentially land on, and I begin reaching for it with my toe, but Kabul stops me from reaching further, as well as falling to my demise. He points out a weak point in the compromised ledge. I was thankful, but it was unfortunate because there was virtually no other way down. However, Kabul looked optimistic.
I do have climbing equipment. I wonder, do I have anything to kind of put a foothold into the wall so that we can make the ledge a little bit more secure at a very minimum?
Okay. What are the odds of you having something like that?
I'm gonna say somewhat likely.
Okay. Does he?
based on that that bubble of that toss sand that we got.
Does Com-
Tossing sands.
does Combo have the equipment that we need to get us nice and locked into this ledge here? Get a foothold. Somewhat likely. No, but
I can makeshift something. It may not hold.
I guess footstool into the side of this tunnel.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and that is one of your favorable skills. You're getting a bonus from the climbing equipment, and you see the ideal spot. I would say the odds of you doing that are very likely, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
All right, are you able to work in a makeshift footstool for us to perch on? Very likely. Yes. So what does that look like?
So you kind of see me wrap the rope kind of around my ankle a little bit and slide out on the ledge and hang, and kind of see me with one hand throw it throw it into the slot, and then immediately after slam it with the back edge of my pickaxe.
Suspended from makeshift rope, with rapid success, Cabo fashions together a footstool in what seemed like no time at all. Once firmly secured, perches onto it with the utmost confidence. The petrified sand loses not a grain, at least until I step onto it. And yet still, we were as stable as we could hope for. Okay, now from this perch, are we able to see what we're getting into? I'm going to say, for the sake of flow, very likely. Yes, definitely. Okay. We are lower down on this rope into this this mine, and we see what do we see? What do we see? Generously lacking.
Large chamber, but not a whole lot of stuff inside. Is it because it's dark and we just can't see everything?
That's a possibility as well. Is it? Are we able to see anything? I'm gonna say somewhat likely. We're near the entrance. Are we able to see anything? Yes. Yeah. So maybe it's just not as it's lacking in anything visually stimulating. Is this all sand? Is this more of a sand mine? 50-50. Oh shit! You can't even see what I'm rolling. My bad. So yes, this is a sand mine from what we see so far. Are there are there any entryways or openings that we see deeper into here, or is it just one single room? Is this place? Is there any is there visually, virtually any openings that are obvious? I'm going to say the odds of that are some 50-50. No. Event overthrow / stalemate.
We see a like a one of these entrances to something that looks similar to like a tray elevator,
Yes.
but it's got something coming out of it. Maybe it's ore, or maybe it's sand that's coming out of it, but it's an old entrance
Okay, so it's just another
kind of thing.
form of an entrance. It's not like an
Yeah,
opening, but it's just
yeah, not like a
another.
full opening.
It's like some sort of lift that is currently has some looks. Is it yeah. So what exactly is covering this lift of sorts? How would what is covering it? I'll ask the question. Develop / pleasures. Okay, so something that developed as a result of the moving of the roots in the sand. You know, the roots move whenever the plant, you know, the peduncle is getting nutrients, and whether it's whenever it's striving. You know, I'll associate that with pleasures as the festering peduncle strives. It gets pleasure out of it existing, and so the roots are always moving because those roots are what's make sure remind us that the festering peduncle is alive, and as a result of the roots, and likely a result of the status of this location we're in now, it caused some sand and debris, likely just sand and maybe harder sand, or maybe even something new, to kind of fall onto and cover this lift. Is it sand and a good amount of sand that's making it so we can't progress, blocking this lift? I'm going to say likely, and if it's not sand, it's going to be something new that we've never seen before. Maybe it's a little taste of what we can find more of deeper into this mine. Is it sand? Likely. Yes. Yes. So, we see this lift that goes in it goes in deeper. It looks like a proper way to get us deeper into the mine, but that means that something lives here, right? Someone built that.
But it also means that we could possibly clear it out
Yeah,
for
for sure.
with enough time, So
Can you assess the condition of, or the can you assess the technology of this lift? Like, can you maybe how well is it constructed? Does it look old?
the gate, is it repairable kind of thing?
Yeah, like, and also just of its make, because I want to treat this like an alien world. Maybe the lift isn't made of rope and wood. You know what I mean? Maybe it's made of something else. Maybe it's
Okay, so
you
yeah,
know
I'm gonna say somewhat likely that I would recognize
okay.
recognize it.
Can Cabo kind of like identify the make, and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not artifice, but I guess judge and the value. I don't know.
The craftsmanship.
Yeah, exactly. Of this lift, somewhat likely. Yes, and what does Cabo see? Rudely healthy.
So oddly enough, even though it's got sand coming out of this thing and it's all backed up, as long as we are able to clear this thing out, it looks like it could be operable. Like I think of rudely healthy as like this thing has defied time. It's really, really well made.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, I approach it. I approach it. Um, well, first off, is there anything? Is it fairly? It should be fairly easy to approach. I know this is a dangerous situation, but is there anything I need to be concerned about between here and there? I'm gonna say unlikely. No, oh no. So I approach it carefully. It's probably near us. It's near us enough. Um, I feel the sand. Does it? It's probably. I see it's a lot. Is it? Am I able to at least get my fingers and move it around? Just trying to judge to see how hard this sand is. Is this some hard sand? 50-50. Yes.
Is it hard because it's sediment or is it hard because of water?
Why is it hard? Jovially hard.
So I'm guessing it's more so just hard rock, not because of any water source.
Yeah.
Can I judge how long it would take to clear this out?
Yeah, for sure. Because you have that skill, let's go ahead and roll on. Let's roll a d6, and I'm going to use this to gauge, with low being the least time and a high roll being the most time. I'm going to head and roll to gauge to see how long this could take. 6.
Yeah, so it's gonna take a while.
How long would you say? Like on a thing, with keeping in mind the scale of this process, would you say maybe 6 hours? You think? Sounds like a lot for one person. I mean, I can help you, but
I mean, for one person, 6 hours is like pushing it. I would say. Um, for one person, I'm gonna say you're looking at pacing yourself and doing this healthily 3 days. you know, like you wanna do this the right way. 3 days. You wanna get it done. A day and a half maybe.
oh wait, you got bombs, right?
Yeah, we got bombs, but I'm gonna definitely have to check the structure around to make sure that we can clear it out without bringing anything else down.
All right, let's see. We're going to assess to see if this place is going to be good enough for bombs, and what that's going to consist of is you are going to check. You're going to assess. We'll say three core aspects of this area, and I want you to come up with and make it up. Make it, it doesn't have to be based off of real things. I want you to kind of improv on these three areas and why you're looking at these things, and then I'm going to roll to see if it's a yay or nay on if it can survive a blast. Okay.
All right, all right.
But the first thing that you look at, lovingly faded. There's something in here that's lovingly faded. I don't know how you would want to interpret that, but that's going to be the first thing you look at.
So I'm looking at the construction of this shaft itself. It looks like the reason not only was it really well built, but it was maintained
Hmm.
with tons of care.
Okay. Can this thing sustain a blast? We'll say
With the fact that it was taken care of so well, I'm gonna
mhm.
say it's probably very likely
Okay.
based on not just that, the make and model of it, effectively the craftsmanship.
Okay. How do you feel about this shaft? Yeah. You think it can handle the blast. Hand on chin, Cobble stands hunched over, glaring intensely at the mine shaft. No words. What was there to even see? I don't know. But I trust his judgment. He then takes a step back and shifts his attention elsewhere. But then this thing over here, we might have to be. This is another thing that we have to consider. How would we describe this other thing? Meaningfully magnificent.
The thing that I'm thinking about is actually the shape of the chamber itself.
Okay.
Um, Meaningfully magnificent. Based on the shape of the chamber, um, the blast could probably be affected by that, amplifying it further. Is my thought processes on that, which is actually a drawback for us.
Really?
Yeah, because if the chamber amplifies the blast, then the secondary blast is more my worry than the first one. Because you have the first one getting amplified, and the second one gets amplified. It's a little bit too much, so
All
that
right.
could be a problem.
So if this is a no, if this ends up being a no, this we're gonna not be able to go down here. We might have to come back when we have more people, and that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. I mean, or we can you can mine this place for 3 days, and we do a time skip. Maybe some stuff in between. We'll break it up. We'll take
Yeah.
breaks. You know what I mean? Um, I'm going to say that the odds of this, based off of what you're saying, should the odds be lower? I mean, because if that second blast is the problem, and that's what we're worried about, those sound like what? Unlikely odds?
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking somewhat unlikely.
Somewhat unlikely. Okay. All right. Here we go. You're assessing it, and I'm looking at you like, man, I don't know. He look like he really is looking like he's not looking too excited. He's he's looking like this is questionable. I don't know. He's rubbing his chin. I don't know I don't know what he's gonna say. What does Cobble think about this chamber? Is it going to be able to sustain the blast? Will we be able to continue down in here now? Somewhat unlikely. Yes, it will sustain the blast, but
It depends on this next thing I'm assessing. Of course.
Cobble's eyes dribble across the entire span of the sand mine's ceiling. I ask him what the issue is, thinking maybe he heard something I didn't. He expresses his concerns, but ultimately optimistic about our circumstances, unless... What in this chamber, what is that one thing that could just ruin the entire initiative? Let's see. Yieldingly average.
As long as it all stays at density, then we should be okay.
What do you think the odds are?
I'm gonna go with somewhat likely just based on I don't know how deep the shaft is, but just because there is a bunch of sand that came out of it that is hard, I'm gonna go with some somewhat likely odds that is the rest of the sand is hard as well.
Okay. Will this passage survive the explosions? Somewhat likely. Yes. And that is the core, one of the core reasons why this shit's gonna work. It's cause there is dense enough sand to survive the blast. Feel free to add on to that, but that's something I was thinking. You're the expert.
And not only because it's dense sand, but as I'm kind of digging a little bit deeper, I'm noticing that some of the sand colors changing. I'm like, huh, that's even better for us. All right, cool.
Okay. All right. So do we probably need to climb out of here, or do we have enough room to like still be here when that bomb goes off? Likely, or probably unlikely. Well, it's a large room, right?
Yeah, actually, we should because I'm gonna be digging these down
Okay.
into and underneath, so we should be all right.
Okay. Likely. Yes, and there's definitely room. Event, lie/pleasures.
Is the peduncle shifting again?
It's definitely related to the peduncle since they're bringing that back up. Or is it now lying in the path of danger? And this is not, we don't want to harm the fingers,
With that.
Is a peduncle finger now lying in the way? I mean, this is that what's happening? I'm going to say likely. I feel like that's what's going on here. It's shifting. Is it likely that it's in the way, lying in front of us? It's a risk now that the peduncle fingers could get hurt. Likely. Yes. The gnarled plasma-soaked fingers of the festering peduncle begin to shift all around this pocket of space beneath the sand. One wrong move and we could find ourselves prophetically doomed for scathing the fungal horror's precious ever-reaching appendages. I mean, at the end of the day, man,
I kind of want to risk it.
at the end of the day, it's just a superstition, right? Remember, the only fear was that if you harm it, it gives you bad luck. That's all.
And technically, it's the bomb that's doing it, right?
Yeah, we'll just look the other way, and if anyone asks us, yeah, I'm willing to risk. So we just have to make sure that this explosion doesn't cause any irritation here for the pernduckle, the festering peduncle. All right. So you set up your bombs. Are you just using one, or do we need more?
Um, I think that's a meta question. How many do I need?
You want me to roll a d9? It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be like 9.
That would be hilarious.
1d9. 1.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna dig this nice and as deep as I can, and set up as perfectly as I can.
And using your mining skill, are you successfully able to clear the path on this lift? Clear the sand. You can chip away the rest. I would say very likely.
Same.
The only concern was, are we not going to like blow us deeper into? You know what I mean? I'm going to say sure thing.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. All we're really worried about now is Verduncle.
Yeah. Yes, and that sounds like yes, and you didn't hurt the peduncle.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too.
Okay. Cobble holds up another one of his powdered explosives and secures a place for it amidst the sandy mass. I ask what he calls these destructive concoctions, to which he replies, "Shattered echoes," and immediately begins speed walking away to cover. I follow suit. Another moment passes before the shattered echo ignites, decimates the area. The sand and smoke clears, revealing a path to the lift, as well as unscathed peduncle fingers, which was a plus. I personally didn't know how the rumored curse works, but I'm certain that if we did trigger some sort of curse of doom, we'd know for sure as we traverse down this shaft. All right, bet. So the lift is clear. I give the lift a little shake. Does it feel sturdy enough? Very likely. No, but
Oh,
maybe one at a time.
maybe one at a time, or I can probably make some repairs to it. Can I
Are there
make repairs to it?
are there any visual repairs? I think that's going to be a mining skill that you can use. Are there any visual repairs that Cobble can make of it being something that you
Likely.
can influence? Likely. Okay. Is Cobble able to, do what he needs to do to make it so that this is not giving us doubt? Yes. This is what it needs, okay? I'm just going to I'm going to give us a description of what it needs so you can build off of that. What it needs, what's the reason that there's some doubt in this condition of us, carrying both of us, is threateningly exotic.
The lift system itself is not a set of pulleys like I'm used to. It's like a set of chains, and the chains don't have like a turn system. It's almost like they go into the wall and disappear a little bit. So I'm kind of like, give me a second to figure this out. I'll get it. I'll get it. But give me a second.
All right.
I'm gonna use my mining skill for this. Um, and because it is exotic to me, um, I kind of wanna dive a little bit more into the mechanisms a little bit and try and figure out if I can, while I'm tinkering to try and repair this, if I can learn a little bit more about
Hell yeah.
how it works.
Is Cobble's intelligence favorable? I'm going to say very likely. Just because of the nature of the things you already
Yeah,
know.
yeah, same.
Very likely. Yes. And because it's favorable, I think that should increase the odds of you being able to learn something. So while tinkering around, are you able to learn a thing or two about the technology used in this contraption here? This is something you've never seen before. Pretty much anything is going to be new knowledge. Probably that times 3, right? So I would say anywhere between likely and very likely. What you think?
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of somewhat likely, likely. So somewhat likely is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because we're talking. You're probably looking for something that's worth learning, right? Something effective. All right, let's go with likely. Are you able to learn a thing or two? Likely. Yes. This is not only a little bit of technology knowledge, but there's probably also some history in there as well. I want to kind of make that into like kind of like a nugget that that can potentially be built on later. And we're going to say that um, what you're learning from this is whatever I roll on this for this descriptor, and build off of the descriptor of the detail that you're actually learning from messing with these chains and these walls. Nicely slash lovely.
To my surprise, it is an advanced sort of sliding system with these set of chains,
Okay.
and it's like, and it's because it's the reason why it's nice and lovely. It's because it's elegant. It's like it's so simple. It almost makes me go, why didn't I think of that kind of thing?
Right.
Like, wow, this is really, really simplistically elegant. Like, wow.
Okay. All right. So we got the lift working. Let's go down. Does this lift go down or? I was about to ask, does this lift go down or up? The next area that we enter into, how would we describe this area? Rudely slash delightful.
It
Fran-
sounds more and more palatial the further we go down.
frantically slash glorious.
Yeah, this is sounding more and more like a palace to me.
I'm gonna describe delightful as it's a sight. It's a great sight. Maybe different the design of the structure looks really like nice and it's impressive. Is it in ruin? Very likely. I mean, this is an alien world, right?
50-50?
50-50. 50-50. Is it in ruin? Definitely not. And that kind of contributes to the delightfulness. It's probably still very much lived in.
So, my next question is based on that, does it look like the shaft was purposely blocked?
That's a good question. I mean, if I had to speculate, yeah. No one has
Yeah.
left here. Does the area leading up to this ruin or this place, does it look like it's been traveled? Oh wow, I've never seen that happen. Did you see that?
Bravest boy?
Yeah. Hey, I got a new subscriber. Shout outs to Bravest Boy. Or whoever that was. Shout outs to
Yeah,
you.
that was awesome.
Oh man. We should name like this palace has to be. Did you get that name? What was the name?
Bravest Boy 03.
We gotta work that in somehow.
Somehow.
Does it look like it's been traveled? 50-50. And 50-50. No, but who knows? Maybe further in it does, because it's just the walking area or just like the sandy area. The little bit of the inside looks like potentially there is looks like it's been lived in, or could potentially be lived in. Like maybe there's like a fire lit or something. Is there anything in there that appears like it's been tended to from what we see from here? 50-50. Yes. Is it something not too obvious, like maybe like a fire that's lit? Is it a fire that's lit? 50-50. No. Is there some sound coming from within there? Somewhat likely. No, and it's actually really quiet. It's really quiet. So the area in front of us doesn't look like anyone has actually like been here physically, but this place, it doesn't look. It's not a ruin. We know it's not a ruin.
So that kind of puts me on edge. Is there anything that denotes a tomb or traps.
What was the first thing you said? Tomb?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, okay, yeah. You have pathfinding, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anything that denotes that? Uh, Somewhat likely?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that too.
Somewhat likely. Yes. And what you see is partially slash exotic.
So something that looks slightly familiar to me, but is different enough. So maybe it looks like an urn or something like that I see over in the corner. Something that looks like a vase, maybe.
Okay.
Or yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Something that has that sort of urn-like shape that to hold ashes or the organs of the pharaoh.
Okay. Is it an urn or something like that? Very likely. Yes. How do we describe this urn? Frantically slash poor.
Or maybe it's already been ransacked.
Yeah, because I feel like this frantically it keeps coming up.
Yeah.
It's in poor condition, and it's not it's and because of that it doesn't look too hot. I'm gonna say it's still glorious. It's just in poor condition and ransacked.
So someone has already been through here. Is what it's been. Is what it looks like. Then, is there any sign of what looks to be old battle within the vicinity of us?
Okay. Does it looks like are there any signs of any old battles? 50-50. Well, if it's been ransacked, I'm gonna move that to somewhat likely. Yes.
Okay.
Are there
Maybe
any
some
bodies,
armor.
corpses, whatever? Somewhat likely. Yes. An event occurs. Decrease slash the spiritual.
That kind of makes me feel like they were. The sight of them is very demoralizing. Like whatever happened to them was not good. It reminds. It makes me think of the scarabs in the Mummy.
Don't tell me you think there's bodies there with their stomachs bursted open, or with holes in their body.
That's what I'm thinking, man.
Yo. First off, I love the Mummy. Okay, I love that
Love that
entire
movie.
series. I wish they would continue it. We need to go back to it. It was never corny to me. I loved all of them. I even loved the goddamn Scorpion King. Okay.
Yes.
Yo, those scarabs was the craziest part of that movie, man. Those scarabs had me like, I was a kid and I was like, it was that and Anaconda. I remember saying, "Yo, mom,
Ooh.
like, are they? Does America?" I was like, "Mom, this." I remember saying this. I said, "Mom, does the president make sure that scarabs stay in Egypt and anacondas stay in the Amazon?"
That's awesome.
I was like, "Is it so?" It's I needed somebody to reassure me that it's never possible for something like that to come here.
Right, right. Like, nah, I don't want that in my life.
But off topic, those things don't really do that though. Scarabs don't do that, right?
Not at all.
Like there's no history of them traveling throughout your body. I mean, I know they dig and stuff, but like they don't purposefully try to live in your body and shit, right?
Nope. Nope.
I didn't learn that till I was like 14 though. But when I first saw Mummy, I was like, or I don't know, maybe I forget how old I was when I saw Mummy, but I just remember being like, "Yo," I had to look into it. Like, "Oh, do these things
Yeah,
exist?"
you both, man. Me both.
So there's something that's demoralizing. Their bodies appear to have been. I mean, let's roll with that. Let's roll with that. They've been mutilated somehow. What exactly happened to? What kind of mutilation are we talking? I'm gonna roll a descriptor. Irritatingly slash abandoned. I'm gonna say it looks like something was a host at some point, and like there's still remnants of whatever that was within the body, and it's now abandoned. So maybe remnants of an egg or body
Oh,
parts. What'd you say?
uh, you know what it made me think of? Are you a fan of The Last of Us?
Ah, no, I never played it.
So the premise is, the zombie apocalypse is, instead of a virus that floats around as a fungus that gets you.
Yeah,
Um, and
like the
there's these
flood.
things called clickers where they burst out of your head and you go blind. And the way they get you is they click their tongues and echolocate. And all I could think of was dead mushrooms growing on this person.
Is there fungus growing on this person? Very likely. So some sort of fungus is growing on this person. What does this fungus look like? Perfectly slash dirty. Okay. It looks absolutely filthy. It's probably all over the body. Using my desert survival, am I able to identify what this is or have an idea using desert survival? I'm going to say somewhat likely. And I'm only saying somewhat likely as opposed to anything higher, is because now that we're underground, this is technically a different biome. Yeah, it looks like it's a deserty mine, but that we don't, not so much anymore. You know what I mean? This could be a fucking palace for all we know, like you said. So I'm going to say somewhat likely, because it could be something that maybe came from the desert. Could even be related to the perpendicular, the festering peduncle. Is it related to the festering peduncle? 50-50. Yes. So remember, the festering peduncle, it's part of the ecosystem, and a lot of things found to, thrive off of the festering peduncle. Whatever this is, whatever kind of fungus this is, all this is probably only made possible because of the festering peduncle. For example, maybe the festering peduncle put everyone in here to sleep, and they slept long enough for this thing to grow and live inside of them. That is a benefit of the festering peduncle, for example. So it might not be linked in terms of it is of the festering peduncle, but whatever conditions that the festering peduncle is providing for all these living organisms, this may be an example of that, but we'll have to find out. I pretty much say try not to touch anything, or let anything, I guess, breathe in anything, and so on and so forth.
I kind of stare at you a little bit and go, "Really? So we're supposed to hold our breaths the entire time we're here?"
Don't you have like anatomy and shit like that?
Yeah, I do. I also have some plant knowledge. I was gonna see if I can get a little bit more detail about whether or not um, these things do put off spores, like based on proximity or anything like that, like from a distance. And I see that.
Is that something you gotta find out by getting closer to it, or can you eye it?
Um, Unfortunately, that's like
The risk.
the yeah, that's the risk, I think. So I'm going to go into my pack and take a small bit of cloth and put it around my face. I'm gonna look at you and be like, "Hey, if I die,
I'll
get me
make
back to the tower." Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure you don't have one of these things growing out of you, for certain.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna get close enough that I can make a good eyeball without like getting like right up on it. So I'm gonna say I could probably get about a solid 3 feet away before I'm like, without having to look too close to get an idea.
Okay. Is this close enough for him to gather the information he needs? Somewhat likely.
Yeah, somewhat likely. Oh shit. Okay, so gotta get closer. Got it. So
Well,
getting closer.
wait. You're there. You're not close enough to get information, but it's okay. You know, I mean, I feel like anything getting closer now, you're risking it because you're going. If you really want to find out, but
True.
just be careful, man. Like,
So as long as we're within 3 feet of it, no closer, we should be alright. Knowing that, I am gonna go like, hey, like, I'm not gonna try and get any closer to this thing, but it doesn't look like its proximity is the thing for right now. Doesn't seem like it set off any spores. So as long as we're not any closer to this, we should be okay from what I can tell. Is there anything else that I can see with my plant knowledge that is something I should worry about
I'm gonna say
outside of the mushrooms?
I'm gonna say likely. Odds wise.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yes, and there's definitely something else that you see.
Is it related to the mushrooms in the peduncle?
50-50. Definitely not. This is something totally different, and I'll go ahead and roll a description. Interestingly / warlike. I have an idea what this could probably be.
What you thinking?
Something that more so involves the person.
Yeah, I was thinking he's starting to get up.
Like maybe you were able. That you're close enough looking at the mushroom, you're close enough to see like what, who the victim was. I'm gonna go ahead. Well, I have a new table here that I got from the compilation, the Mythic compilation. It's a character identity table to get an idea of what this person looks like in terms of identity, like occupation and stuff. But maybe that's not what you saw. But whatever you saw, it's interestingly / warlike. What you think?
I think the interesting / warlike is my immediate thought process was he's twitching. My second thought process is not necessarily a tribal person, but that's what I'm looking for. A nomad of sorts is what I was sort of thinking of.
Ruler. So there's something about him that looks like he's definitely decorated enough to be someone important is how I'm interpreting it. And the reason he looks, he's probably, let's get a description of like their style of clothing, whatever it is, kindly / lacking. So he's probably got, this person has less clothes, but the part of the clothes are very major looking and decorated and I guess glorious. We'll go with glorious because that's that was one of the descriptors used to describe what this entire scene looks like. But he's dead now. Are there any other bodies laying around or strewn about that we can see? Unlikely. No. Is there any more of this fungus around, or is it just on this body? Is this fungus only on this body from what we can see? 50-50. Or somewhat likely. Yeah. All right. I say we go in a little bit more.
Let's do it.
Is there any fire around here? Is there any fire? Do we have fire? Do you have a torch or something? Are you able to like just light shit on fire? Is that a thing?
Great question. I feel like I would have something in my bag for
To
as a
light up
mic. Yeah, I feel like I would have something close to a flare in my bag.
a flare? Like, is that gonna generate? Is that gonna set shit on fire?
A flare is its own like fire source, light
Okay.
source.
Light
Um,
source, but like if we run into like a mushroom monster, are you gonna be able to throw the flare and set it on fire?
I mean, I would have to like really be up close and personal.
Like rub it up against their,
Yeah, exactly. Put it in their face.
just jam it in their eyes.
But if we get something else and like wrap some cloths and things like that, I can definitely light that with with a flare for sure.
Okay.
Did you know that flares can be lit and tossed in water because they are chemical fires and not normal fires?
I didn't know that, but I feel like I've seen that in a movie before, right?
Yeah, metallic flares. They're made out of all flares are made of with a magnesium metal, which allows them to do that.
Let's go in. Let's go in. So we go further in. I'm expecting to see more of the architecture that we see on the outside. You know, we're going to go further in. I'm going to treat this like a new scene. Okay, we're going to go into this section of this place. I'm expecting to see more of the same architecture. I'm actually expecting to see more dead bodies. I'm not expecting to see anything living or hostile because I didn't hear anything. It's very quiet, which is not a good thing nor a bad thing. But I'm expecting to see more bodies and more architecture. Um, is that is that what we're seeing? I'm going to say very likely. Actually, I'm going to say likely. And this is my way of. I like this way. I might start doing this more often, but generating a scene. I like altered scenes, so I like there to be odds of altered scene being higher without all the chaos stuff. Likely. Yes, but there is something different. Okay, and um, I'm assuming the architecture is still the same, but are there? Is it just there are no dead bodies, or are there more dead bodies than I was thinking? Are there more dead bodies than I was thinking? 50-50. Yes. Are these bodies all still like laid out on the ground, or are there any like on the walls and on the ceiling?
I'm thinking like, are they all covered in fungus?
They're all covered in fungus. Are they on the ceilings too? 50-50. Is everything fungus in bodies? 50-50. No.
So there's a way through all of this, yes.
Is there a way through all this without having to touch stuff? Likely. Yes, and there are multiple ways. Are there multiple entrances? Very likely. Definitely. I'm going to roll a d6. 5. Do we see any bigger mushrooms than usual? Likely. Yes. I'm going to roll on
Is there any other vegetation besides the mushroom?
good question. 50-50, or let's say somewhat likely for the
I would
sake,
think somewhat.
yeah, for the sake of world building, somewhat likely. No, and there it looks like there may have been in the past just because of the architecture.
Yeah,
It looks like they value that. Yeah, like they incorporate plant life and stuff, but maybe the fungus has overcome a lot of it.
invasive species.
Yeah. Do we see any mushroom that looks a bit bigger or more abnormal or a bit different? Likely. Yes, and event, procrastinate / good. I'm going to say that it's good that we are taking our time and moving through this slowly, because as we're looking around, we see one of these larger mushrooms either work its way into the scene or something that we are seeing at the last minute. And it's good that we didn't, move further. I'm going to roll to see, is this thing moving, whatever it is? Or was it there and we are seeing it and are like, oh shit, glad we didn't take another step? Is this something that is stationary and we're just now seeing it? 50-50. Yes, but it's stationary, and the reason we didn't see it is because of something. I'm going to treat whatever this is as a creature. I'm going to roll on the description for this creature. We know at base it is plant-like. Okay, I'm going to roll another descriptor using the animal descriptor or creature descriptor table from Creature Crafter to see what this thing looks like, and then I'm going to figure out what exactly, and hopefully I can incorporate it in this, is what exactly was it doing that we couldn't see it initially. What is a descriptor for this creature? Fuck. Agile. So it's stationary. We know it's stationary. It made itself visible quite fast. Maybe it's agile in terms of it can become or take the form of any of the other shrooms that are around. It's becoming another shroom, so it can kind of like move around by kind of like Agent Smith in the Matrix, how he could just become other people.
I love that, because I was thinking the same thing as you started to say it was moving around, becoming other shrooms. I was like, so in other words, the reason why we saw this thing was because it wasn't there before. It just popped up.
Yeah. Because of how everything happened, there's a possibility that it doesn't see us yet, but it's a plant, so it has to see us, right? Sense us? Maybe we're not further into the room yet.
Yeah, because we got the procrastinate good, so maybe we see it before it sees us, or it senses us rather.
How big is this? Is it big? Is it large? Is it gigantic? We'll start with, is it bigger than, is it humanoid size? 50-50. Yes. Event, divide / the physical.
I take this like it requires more than one person to take this thing down because it is so big. Like,
yeah,
it forces you to
divide your efforts.
Yeah, kind of thing.
What else does it look like? Levitating.
Is it not in front of us and it's actually on the ceiling?
Definitely something that's not like, I like the idea of it hanging from the ceiling, like freaking Gravemind from Halo.
It's giving me Gladys vibes right now.
That's the robot thing, right?
Yeah.
And how it kind of protrudes from the ceiling and looks.
Yep, that's kind of the vibes it's giving me right now.
It's starting to sound really hard for this thing not to see us. If we get closer, because it can move. It looks like it can move around pretty well, and it's just one. Okay. Barely noticeable until now, a large fungal entity appears above us, descending from the ceiling into a full bloom like a cloud of blood, expanding within water. Its bloody edges unfurl into petals, led by an elongated appendage, until it gracefully settles in the center of the room, paying us no mind. All right, look, honestly, all right, so I say we should back up a little bit. We should back up. This doesn't...
I agree with you 100% on that.
This
doesn't look like...
This is something we come back to, bro.
Yeah, this is something we come back to with a couple people to clear out.
We need fire. We need magic.
Yeah, because I'm definitely not wanting to continue with that right now.
All right. Let's build more on this creature, and then we'll wrap it up there. I'm gonna roll 2 more times on the descriptor table because this all we see is what it looks like. I'm not gonna roll its abilities and all that stuff until we actually encounter it. Fungal.
Well, isn't that just on brand for me?
It's probably it looks like a giant. Like I want to do something different than something that looks like a shroom, since this is an alien world. Let's think this is our opportunity to rebrand what fungal is in this world. I still like the idea of it being something that grows on stuff and all that, but in terms of what it looks like and how it grows on stuff, I want to build that. I want to create that from scratch as well. So,
have you seen the coral that when you touch them, they shrink back into the inside of the coral?
I remember seeing some weird shit like that on Netflix, and they were undersea and looking at some weird stuff. Man, that's stuff, yo, under the ocean, man. That is an alien world, dog. Like,
Done some scuba diving. It is beautiful and creepy. And surreal. It is.
Look, I hear you, because I played Echo the Dolphin, and man, let me tell you, it's like, yo, you dive too?
I used to, yeah.
Man,
I've done the life.
all the elements. You mastered all the elements.
A bit of rock climbing, did a bit of diving, yeah. Did a bit of firefighting too, yeah.
No way. Are you joking?
No.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, okay, you could summon Captain Planet if you wanted to. God damn it.
Right?
Oh, man.
Only thing I haven't done, skydiving. Still gotta do that.
Look, you got a kid now. That's you fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. maybe when he's far out of the house,
right.
maybe then. No time soon.
Right.
But anyway.
So let's roll some descriptors to kind of flesh out this fungal thing. Let me clear this out. Fungal in terms of this thing, and just visually, I got to stay in the mind of visual. We're only seeing it. Slowly / defeated.
Looks like it's rotting.
It looks, yeah, I like that. It looks like it doesn't look pretty. It looks like it's in bad shape. It looks like it's rotting.
Maybe like a mold.
Rotting / moldy. And I want to build off of what we wrote earlier, how it's kind of related to the festering peduncle. It's going to be I want it to be red, like the festering peduncle.
It's like a derivative.
A derivative, yes. And also, alien. It's intelligent. And I'm going to say just base, I don't know that yet, right? This is all looks. Let me retract that. I can say, the way it moves, it seems like it looks like it was tending to something. What was it? Was it tending to something that would make me believe that it looked intelligent? Likely. What is it tending to? Oppress / liberty.
The bodies? On the ceiling?
Damn it.
That's the only thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. It's organizing the bodies like Jeepers Creepers. It looks like it's injecting it with or putting something inside of them.
Yeah, I'm definitely tapping you like, yo, we need to go. I'm kind of in the mind of like reclosing that shaft.
All right, I'm going to roll one more descriptor. Tail. I'm going to interpret this as part of its form. When it does come into form, there is a longer tendril that seems to be consistent with whatever, its form, which helps it organize the corpses. Maybe it's like its version of a thumb.
Yeah, it's almost like an opposable appendage.
Yeah. Which is scary.
Super.
Damn it.
So it's intelligent enough to organize bodies in a way and do things to these bodies. Whether that is intelligence that is just instinctual and it's just doing what it does, or whether that is just actual intelligence, I don't want to find out. Let's go.
Word. We're not we're not the bravest boys right now.
No, sir. No, sir. We're not.
There we go. So thank you for subscribing, bravest boy. So I love that. I love that because we're establishing locations. It's terrifying that this is really close to where we live, but we know that under the sands are very, very, very dangerous, and we would need to come back to conquer this place.
Yeah, I didn't find any resources for us, but definitely found a place that is on the no go list for right now.
Can you imagine the treasure that's in here, though?
Oh, I'm already thinking about ways of modifying these bombs so we can just set up a few and clear things out and make a run for it, kind of thing.
Yo, you think you can blow this thing up?
I mean, given enough time and preparation, I'm pretty sure I could give it a run for its money. Yeah.
Can you make more of these bombs?
I'm pretty sure I can, yeah. Um, I'm definitely gonna probably need a bit more material, but I know I still have some back at the tower to make a few more. But before that, I would definitely want to at least get maybe say another 10 before we try to make that run.
Yeah. You're using them very efficiently. They got us through everything we needed so far. So rolling 1 on that was perfect.
Same.
All right. Let's head back. We should probably think about doing something with that jewelry we found the other day.
I'm kind of the mind that we should probably try and find this ram person and deliver it. I kind of want to have someone in debt to us and owe us a bit of favors.
Then that's the plan. Next time we'll look for Ram. He's got to be near here because I'm going to assume that this person was close to getting to them.
Yeah, it didn't look like he seemed confident enough to pack all that crap, so he had to be close enough.
Okay.
Even in our amnesia, we had sense enough to remember what a death sentence was, and so after careful consideration, we decided to pull back. We were underpowered and frankly unprepared to deal with the fungal menace that had countless bodies lining the walls of ruin. We choose to live another day.